big global story that's breaking. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office over his links to late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Newspapers have reported that 6 unmarked police cars and around 8 plainclothes officers arrived at Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate in eastern England. The Thames Valley Police informed officers were examining allegations that Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor passed confidential government documents to the late financier and sex offender. The claims are said to be linked to files recently released by the United States government. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, the second son of the late Queen Elizabeth II, has always denied any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein. He has previously said that he regrets his friendship with Epstein. However, he has not responded to requests for comments following the latest release of documents, and at this stage, the Thames Valley Police has not issued any further immediate comment. We have my colleague Shweta Kothari now joining us live. Shweta, the Prime Minister of the UK has now weighed in. He said, and I quote here, "Nobody is above the law."
That's right, and that's been the stance of the Prime Minister as well as the royal family. Remember, Andrew, former prince, brother of King Charles, son of Queen Elizabeth II, has been formally taken into custody. That's the latest we're getting, and although the police has not clarified whether the investigation is about him, whether he's been arrested or not, which is standard in British police. Remember, for the sake of our viewers, that in Britain, if you are indicted while you're in public office, or if you've been a person who's been publicly important, the details don't usually come out. In this case, the charges are very serious. The charges is that he is a sex offender, that the fact that Prince Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, has been in constant touch with Jeffrey Epstein, and the relationship, in fact, goes far beyond as to when, Andrew said that he's ended terms with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, let me take our viewers back to 2001, Krishna, which is when I think the allegation blew out. And that is with regards to the victim, Virginia Roberts Gwiffer, who first came out in 2001 and said that Jeffrey Epstein handed her over to the then Prince Andrew, and he had sex with her multiple times while she was still a teenager. Those allegations were denied by Prince Andrew repeatedly. However, the latest documents which have now come out in view of the latest releases by the US Justice Department state categorically that the relationship between the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, as well as Prince Andrew, was far bigger, far greater than what we have known so far. This is the biggest fallout so far, Krishna. Let's agree on that at least. Since Jeffrey Epstein died, since he was convicted, this has been the biggest fallout of a person in public office, formerly a prince, has now been arrested.
Shweta, stay with us. We have our managing editor Kartikeya Sharma also now joining us on the phone. And Kartikeya, this is already there is so much heat on Andrew. He's nowhere as far as the UK royal family is concerned, and now things have been kicked up a notch further. He is now accused of exchanging documents, official UK government documents, with Jeffrey Epstein.
You see, the story that was broken by BBC Radio 5, it says, and I tell you, here's what we know so far, the long and bottom of it. This arrest and the search that is being carried out is being done by Thames Valley Police. And they arrested Andrews, who turned 66 today. 66 today, it's his birthday today. And the former prince was arrested on the suspicion of misconduct in public office. And they're searching his addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. And the important thing is that there's a statement that comes out that says, as part of the investigation, we today have arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on the suspicion of misconduct in public office, who are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and other areas. Now, this has been issued by Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright. Now, the important thing is, as what Shweta was saying, Krishna, that Andrew Mountbatten, a younger brother of Prince Charles, continued to be in association with Jeffrey Epstein, despite him being publicly listed as a sex offender in the United States of America. And he was arrested 6 years before he passed away in prison, where he died by suicide. Uh, Even more important is that there are email exchanges between him and the sex offender. Secondly, now the charges are: did he try to help Jeffrey Epstein? Did he try to give him some material related to the inquest that was being quietly carried out by that government of the day? That's number two. And the third thing is uh, the power tussle, or the equation within the royalty. When Queen Elizabeth was alive, this controversy had happened during her tenure. But in a way, a lot of people say that she protected her. He continued with his entitlements. He continued with the titles. But everything changed for him when Charles became the king. He was the prince then. And when he became the king. And it happened because, Prince William and Prince William's wife, I think they drew the line. And a lot of people say that William, the Prince of Wales, and his wife, they were against, Andrew, Kate. They were against Andrew in any way to be associated with the royalty. That's number one. And all of them felt that somehow the message had to go out that royalty is not above the law. Please understand that the royalty plays a very important role in UK. It's a loved institution. It's not like Thailand where the royalty is absolute. It's more like sort of a little stronger version than the Scandinavian royalty, but on the lighter side of the East Asian royalty. So I think this is an unprecedented development that has taken place. But but the larger issue is it just tells us the sort of elite networking which exists in the Anglo-Saxon world of the West Europe and United States of America. Krishna.
Kartikeya, you make a very pertinent point over there. Let me take this across to Shweta as well on that front. Shweta, tell us this: something like this will only bring back the specter of disillusionment with the royal family. We've seen royal families across Europe go through a lot of turmoil, but in particular, the one in UK, the one that is revered the most, loved the most, you have Netflix series being made on it, and that is the royal family right now that's in complete tatters.
If anything, I think this is also an exercise to bring back the faith and the trust in the royal family once again. As Kartikeya pointed out, UK operates differently to India. It's a constitutional monarchy. Although not very powerful, monarchy still holds, power, wealth, and sovereignty over the government. So this could not have happened without the consent of King Charles. So, Keir Starmer, although the acting Prime Minister, works on the instruction of His Majesty, in which case this is Prince Charles, who's the brother of Prince Andrew. So clearly there were lines drawn here very categorically within the royal family that it's time now for Prince Andrew to face the law of the land. Now, I think it's very important to point out, as Kartikeya was also saying, so the lines have been drawn now since Prince William and his wife Kate became important in the monarchy, and they decided that times are changing, and so it's time for the monarchy to also adapt to those changes. And for the very first time in many, many decades now, there have been hush-hushed conversations in the power corridor as to the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew. For the very first time, we're seeing some tangible action. So the question here is that this is also coming on the backdrop, as I mentioned earlier, of the new tranche of documents released by the US Justice Department, which also go on to prove that the relationship between Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein was far bigger, far greater, and far longer than what Prince Andrew had claimed. So, questioning therefore the narratives that he was trying to set in the media, through the royal family, royal channels, that the relationship is far bigger and far greater. In fact, the relationship continued well beyond 2008 when Jeffrey Epstein was convicted. So I think those are important things to keep in mind. What sort of documents he exchanged with Jeffrey Epstein, we'll of course have to wait and watch out. But right, those are the allegations that he misused. There's misconduct in public office, that he misused his position in public office to benefit Jeffrey Epstein and to ensure that his friendship benefits in one or the other way. And those are the charges under which he's been arrested. My assumption right now, from the little that we know, Krishna, is that the British police has tangible evidence to suggest that Prince Andrew, when he was in position of power, when he had his entitlements in place, that he did in fact exchange documents. What kind, what sort, I think we'll have to wait and watch out for that.
We'll have to wait and watch out for that. Shweta, stay with us. Let me take this back to Kartikeya as well. Kartikeya was asking about, this whole disillusionment with the monarchy, because let's take a look at what is the report to the police was made by one Graham Smith. And he's a leader of the anti-monarchy group called Republic. And he has alleged a violation of the Official Secrets Act of the UK. And that is the reason why today, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, is arrested. So there is that simmering sentiment among people. And for as far as the UK royal family is concerned, they've done all that they can do. He's been stripped of the title. He's been ousted from the royal lodge. He's not a part of the family anymore. What more can the UK royal family do to restrict the damage?
Okay, let me take a cue from what Shweta has said. She used the word public office. I think that's a very important word. So let me just start from there, and then I'll answer your question, Krishna. In England, misconduct in public office is a common law offense that concerns serious willful abuse or neglect of the power or responsibilities of the public office held according to the Crown Prosecution Service, which is the body that prosecutes criminal cases investigated by the police in England and Wales. There has to be a direct link between the misconduct and abuse of those powers or responsibilities according to the Prosecution Service's guidance. In the legal context, Krishna, willful abuse of neglect means deliberately doing something which is wrong, knowing it to be wrong, or with reckless indifference as to whether it is wrong or not. The offence carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. It can be tried only on indictment. Now, this is something very, very important in terms of misconduct in public office. That's one. Now, secondly, let me tell you how the American press, this is the number one headline in CNN. This is the number one headline in DW. This is the number one headline in The Guardian. This is the number one headline in BBC. This is the number one headline in NYT. This news is sending shockwaves across America and Western Europe. And it's not only the rich and famous of the America that are touched. Even the Norwegian royalty is affected by it. There's a huge scandal that has taken place in Norway, and and one of the members of the royalty, if I'm not wrong, one of the stepsons of the current princess, he is part of the inquest. So a lot of people are connected with the inquest that is simultaneously taking place in the United States of America. Now, why does it bother America? Because when Trump came to power, he tried to reclaim the moral high ground, which he accused the liberals of wasting it, turning America into a wasteland, But he accused Hillary Clinton, called her crooked Clinton. They will have to depose. Both the Clintons will have to depose before the inquiry in America. There's photographs of Clinton also there. Bill Gates was not able to speak in India during the AI summit. So it has touched all the rich and famous in the United States of America. But royalty in UK had been treated with kids' gloves. Barring the time when Princess Diana passed away, there was a revulsion against the royalty because she was the name, the adjective that was given to Princess Diana was Queen of Hearts. She was an outsider, and she was called the Queen of Hearts. After a long time with the Harry and Prince William, I think the royalty was able to regain its public position. With this scandal, it was really like rocking the boat. But coming back to the real issue, what Shilpa was saying, underage girls, rich and famous people, millionaires, billionaires, all part of Jeffrey Epstein diary. Whether they are from the right, whether they are from the left, it did not make a difference. It just did not make a difference. It was one elite club. And that is why there's so much of disgust in America when it comes to Epstein Files. Because, rich and famous were dancing together. They were not divided by the so-called ideological lines. Now, Andrew became trade envoy in 2001. He served as UK's trade envoy, so he was serving in a very powerful position. But he stepped down a decade later after coming under fire over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Mountbatten-Windsor said at that time that his position was no longer necessary to the work that I do today, and more importantly in the future. But document released by the US Department of Justice has shown that the Mountbatten-Windsor was in contact with Epstein during his time as trade envoy. Now, that is a damaging part. When you were the trade envoy of UK, you were still in touch. Now, trade envoys, as set out in the UK government guidelines, are under the same obligation as the government ministers, and the role carries with it a duty of confidentiality, Krishna, in relation to information received. which may include sensitive commercial or political information shared about relevant market visits. The guideline states that the duty of confidentiality will continue to apply after envoy leaves their post. Mountbatten-Windsor has vehemently denied any wrongdoing in his dealing with Epstein. Now the issue is, why was he in intimate touch with Jeffrey Epstein after demitting office? One. Secondly, he was already, as I mentioned, which Shweta was saying, part of the sex offender list. Second, he tried to retrieve his position, Jeffrey Epstein, and despite that, the signal from the American administration was very, very clear that they were going out. They were going out against him because you had these women who had come out whose lives he had destroyed. We are talking about sex offense. Women have come out and said that they were raped. They were too afraid to say. They were too afraid to say no. You see, it has hit the moral core of the American society that despite being rich, the most powerful nation in the world, all the rich and famous, from the Republican, from the Democrat, from the MAGA crowd, you had photographs of Trump, inappropriately touching women. You had Bill Gates, one of the richest men of America, being inappropriate. And the worst thing, if you recall, Bill Gates' former wife, she was interviewed. And in a podcast, she said, it revived very painful memories. So, my question here, Krishna, this is not about legalese. This is about the moral consciousness that has been rocked in Western Europe and America.
Right. Shweta, with the arrest of the former Prince Andrew, this is going to begin probably kick off a series of more serious action against some of the rich and the famous that Karthikeya has been talking about, be it in the US or in the UK or anywhere else, be it royalty or otherwise. Action will be taken, and this could be the beginning of it all.
Absolutely. I think this is where the pack of cards are going to topple, and they're going to topple very soon. And it has begun with, one of the most influential families in the entire world. It's begun with Prince Andrew. It's begun with the brother of a ruling king in Britain, one of the longest running monarchy anywhere in the world. So you're right. I think this is the beginning of what could transpire by the way of, several people, very important people in position of power being indicted now. We know for a fact that Prince Andrew has been indicted, and that's the reason why he's been, taken into custody as of this evening. But let's also point out, as far as his history is concerned, not just as a trade envoy, which is important because he was in public office, but also someone who's part of the sovereignty. He holds immense power in UK and used to at some point of time before 2025, which is when he was stripped of his entitlements, he was stripped of his prefix. He is now Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. That is his title. He is no more Prince Andrew. But the fact that, up until 2025, it took good 25 years, Krishna, for the first such indictment to come into force. 2001 is when allegations started pouring in. 2010, that's as latest as 15 years ago, when Andrew was seen to be, going around in parks, strolling in parks with Jeffrey Epstein. There are pictures in the BBC of both these gentlemen taking a stroll, and this was well into 2 years into since Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sex offense. It's not just sex offense, it's pedophilia. It's, trafficking of underage girls. So 2 years into that, he was still found to be hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And he's not alone. There are many, many more powerful people on that exotic island that Jeffrey Epstein was operating, where powerful figures would often do the rounds, go about, visit him. But fact of the matter is, as you rightly pointed out, this is the first big indictment. Even if, the allegations that were made by Virginia Giuffre, that he had sex with, Virginia on multiple occasions while she was still a very young person. She was a teenager. Even if those allegations are untrue, Prince Andrew, when he was still the prince, he admitted to the BBC in, 2011 in an interview, and later again in 2019, that he in fact is sorry because he maintained association with Jeffrey Epstein. He's sorry about it, but that sorry is not enough. It goes on to tell you how the power nexus really operates with these very big, powerful men doing what they feel like.
Absolutely. And Karthikeya, none of, especially Prince Andrew's defenses have been ridiculed beyond belief, because that's the kind of defenses he's put up. I remember one interview in which he said, he was, when he was described as engaging in sexual acts, sweating profusely. He said, I have a condition where I can't sweat at all. So Prince Andrew is a lost cause, or the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, that's what he is a lost cause. Action against him has been rampant in the last 2 years, specifically speaking. Between 2025 and 2026 is when you've seen the dramatic fall of Andrew. He's no more a royal. He doesn't even live with them. The family has disowned him. But again, all of this will go back and make, like you're talking about, the US ask questions. What about the other big guns from their corporate world, from some of the rich and famous elite? How come, how many of them will face the kind of action that Andrew is facing in the UK?
Krishna, I like to correct myself on your show. There has been one arrest which did take place previously. I said that this is the first arrest that has taken place in the royal family. I think there's a bit of a correction that is required. I have just discovered that that's not the first arrest. I think the first arrest took place in 1671. 1671, that arrest has taken place when King Charles I, the last senior member of he was the last senior member of the British royal family to have been arrested, and this happened during 1647, and it happened during English Civil War by forces aligned with Parliament, including the New Model Army. And he was detained and later tried for high treason after refusing to accept limits on royal authority, leading to the execution in 1649. So he's not the first royal to be arrested. I think he's the second royal to be arrested. The first royal to be arrested was King Charles I, and he was arrested in 1647. He was executed in 1649, and he was executed because he did not adhere to the sovereignty of the parliament that was in existence in UK. Now, Andrew's sister, it's a nugget.
Hello. Continue,
Yes.
Kartikeya.
Yes. So Andrew's sister, Prince Anne, who is scheduled to visit a prison in Leeds today, was convicted and fined under Dangerous Dogs Act in 2002. So these two issues had taken place, and I just wanted to put on record, since both me and Shweta have been there on your show, that Andrew is not the first one. King Charles I in 1647 was arrested, and he was executed in 1649, Krishna.
Fair enough, Kartikeya, but that's as far as the UK royal history is concerned. But the focus right now will again shift to what's going to happen. We're talking about this, Shweta, on a day, as you rightly pointed out, where Bill Gates did not deliver the keynote speech at the India AI Impact Summit 2026, something that everybody was looking forward to. It was somebody else who had to do it. So the pressure is certainly building. It won't be just the UK. It won't be just Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. Other names from other royalties. There's the Norwegian princess whose name has been associated. She's regretted being in touch with Jeffrey Epstein. Other royals from Europe. And more importantly, if the royals at least can be classified as a separate category, what about the guys who are inspirational from the world of, the corporates, from the world of finance, from the world of technology, who have very difficult for them to wash their hands off the whole thing?
Absolutely. The more is said, the little in this case. I think Jeffrey Epstein and the entire tranche of new files that have been released by the Justice Department have jolted people to a new reality. That the power nexus between people in politics, people in position of authority, people in public office, as well as those at the helm of corporate leadership can come together and very famously so, and operate in a manner that remains undisclosed, unidentified, just under the law, and flourish in doing so. Remember, I think it's important for our viewers to know, why has Jeffrey Epstein become the talk of the town? Not only because he was raping women, but also because a lot of powerful people were involved with him in molesting people, in raping underage people, in pedophilia, in sex trafficking. So there is an entire nexus that operated for years and years, Krishna, and many powerful names, as you pointed out, including Bill Gates, a man with a squeaky clean image, a man until very recently would be associated with changing the world, bringing upon technology into this world, has now suddenly come in the spotlight of being a part of this dirty nexus. And it's a dirty nexus of powerful people. I think it's important that the world is finally waking up, and the UK police have taken on the mantle. They've arrested Prince Andrew and former Prince Andrew. I have to keep correcting myself. I think we're still realizing the quantum of today's action. action as far as the UK is concerned, what sort of ramifications will it have for the world? Will US follow suit? Will there be action on Donald Trump? Pressure is mounting on Donald Trump.
The
As
country
Kartikeya
follows
pointed
suit.
out, I mean, his name has often found itself, in those various tranches of documents. He's completely denied any association, but we have seen his name, we've seen his photographs. Will action be taken there? Will action be taken on Bill Gates, who did not address the Indian diaspora today at the AI summit?
Yeah.
He was slated to do so. So we're still waiting for what sort of action will come forth in the coming few days, perhaps.
Waiting, and we will be reporting it first here on News 9. Shweta Kothari, thank you so much for joining us for the big story, and thank you, Kartikeya Sharma, our managing editor, for being with us.